Hello, welcome back. Today we're going to do a little bit of comparison video. So, Shimano reels versus Daiwa reels. Which one is better? Now, this is never a good idea. Every single time when someone starts a topic like this, it's nothing different than calling for a dogfight. Now, Shimano fans and Daiwa fans will never stop fighting until there is not a single crumb of planet Earth left. Indeed, both brands have been bringing superb reels to the market, and quite honestly, with the design, technology, and building quality, it is really hard to fully distinguish whose reel runs superb. It is more to someone's taste or user experience. Perhaps calling both top tier is adequate. Now, this video is definitely not intended to induce any drama. That being said, there are a few things that's quite different between these two. From appearance, Shimano tends to use low-key colors, mostly natural metal colors, while Daiwa likes to incorporate a lot of other flamboyant colors when it comes to bait casting reels. Shimano reels mostly feature the centrifugal and DC brake, other than the BFS series, while the Daiwa reels almost uniformly feature the magnetic brake. IMZ is not included in this group, of course. Now, these differences are easy to spot. However, in addition to these physical differences, today I'd like to share an observation I made through the years, which might be the biggest difference between the two brands. To start, let's take a ride on the time machine and go back to the early 2000s. In 2003, Shimano introduced the first ever bait casting reel equipped with digital controlled braking system, the 2003 first-gen Calcutta Conquest DC. It was arguably the most groundbreaking innovation in the reel industry after 2000. In 2007, Stella FD debuted as the first spinning reel equipped with the ARC spool. In 2010, Daiwa became the first reel manufacturer to ever install the mag-sealed bearing onto a fishing reel. Their spinning reel, Certate, received this new tech. 1 year later, 2011, the revolutionary T-wing guide system designed for bait casting reels aiming at reducing the friction between line guide and line was introduced with the T3 bait casting reels. In 2012, Shimano rolled out their micro-module gear system together with the SVS Infinity centrifugal brake adjustment system. The SVS Infinity not only allows anglers to quickly make adjustments of the centrifugal brake on bait casting reels without needing to open the side plate of the reel, but also added many levels of adjustment thanks to the tapered braking cup design. Prior to this, you will need to open the side plate to adjust the centrifugal brake, and there were only a certain number of braking force for choice, depending on how many braking blocks are there on the spool. Now, this is by far, in my opinion, the most significant update on centrifugal braking system after 2000. Shimano installed micro-module gear and SVS Infinity onto the 2012 year model of the Antares. In 2013, Daiwa came out with the SV spool, which was installed onto the T3 SV bait casting reel. And in 2014, the new Stella eliminated the reverse switch in favor of a better sealed gearbox. In addition, it also featured the G-free body design, which moved the heavy worm gear shaft to the upper part of the body, hence putting the gravity center closer to the hand. The same year, Daiwa installed the SV braking system onto the BFS reel SS Air. This is the first BFS reel ever equipped with SV brake. And in 2015, Shimano applied the silent tune system onto the new Aldebaran MG5051 by adding a small pressing force sideways onto the spool bearing via the springs. The silent tune eliminates any vibration or sideways shifts of the bearings during casting, thus achieving smoother and silent casting. The next year, 2016, Shimano rolled out the first ever MGR spool on the Metanium. About MGL spool, we discussed its design concept in the spool video. I'll put a link in the description. And that same year, the Shimano Aldebaran BFS debuted with the FTB brake, which is a Shimano version of the magnetic brake designed specifically for BFS or super low weight lure casting. Also in 2016, Daiwa rolled out the first freshwater spinning reel equipped with a full metal monocoque body, the Certate HD. 3 years ago, 2021, Daiwa rolled out the SV Boost braking system on the 21 Zillion SVTW. That year, Shimano updated the Kagura Conquest to its 3rd generation, which was then equipped with Infinity Drive, the first time the saltwater reel tech is applied onto a freshwater baitcaster. And in 2022, Shimano's FK generation of Estella debuted, equipped with anti-twist fitting Infinity Drive, Infinity Loop, Duracross, etc. This list is still growing. Now, let's put all these updates and overhaul together and look at the model of reels, specifically the model tiers of the first reel to receive the new tech or update. Now, by model tiers, if it is a flagship model like Stella or Exist, I call it top tier. Metanium T3 or Zillion belong to the middle tier. Now, if you look at the model tier, it's not difficult to spot the difference of the two brands. When Shimano rolled out new techs, it tends to put them first on their flagship models more often than on the middle tiers. But Daiwa almost always only put their new tech on their middle tier reels first. You almost never see the names of Steez or Exist on Daiwa's first new tech list. And interestingly, revolutionary upgrades such as T-Wing line guide was not installed onto a Steez until a couple years after the debut of the T-Wing on the T3 reels. Same thing for Maxial, monocoque body, SV spool, and SV boost. More interestingly, based on the feedback from the customers, there appear to be less complaints, specifically design-related complaints about the new techs Shimano rolled out, except the elimination of reverse switch on the spinning reel, of course. Now, I know for a fact a lot of folks in the United States like to back reading. Now, because of this new design trend, I think Shimano is hated between those folks. But over time, you just don't hear things like deformed spool or braking system falling apart, etc. related with Shimano reels. On the Daiwa side, however, when T-Wing was initially introduced, it was soon discovered that fishing line easily left grooves or marks on the T-Wing guide, partly due to inappropriate material choice and partly due to design flaw. It was the same deal with the SV Boost braking system. Now, I personally love the SV Boost equipped with the 21 Zillion SVTW, for instance. But for those who do a lot of super long casts, there were quite a few incidents reported online where the magnetic braking ring just simply broke off during those forceful super long casts. Now, don't get me wrong, I do appreciate the innovative ideas from both brands that they showcased on their reels in the past 2 decades. But at the meantime, I also want my reels to be as little problematic as possible, to be able to take a little bit beat and still perform. I don't want to deal with any reel malfunction in the middle of my fishing trip, especially when I am wading or bank fishing. I carry one rod, one reel. There is simply no room for reel malfunction. Being a R&D scientist myself, I do wish Daiwa could use a little bit more robustness testing during their R&D stage. In almost all the industry which involves new product development, before a new product is rolled out, a responsible manufacturer typically do many experiments and tests to find those real-world problems that may not be easily identified without going through actual tests. One big part of it is the choice of appropriate material, the type of a material, the amount, the geometry design, the compatibility of different materials, etc. all contribute to the final robustness of the new design. These tests take time, and many problems won't show up until thousands of experiments were run. What occurs to me is Daiwa tends to roll out the new techs before enough robustness tests and actual field tests were done. Now, I'm not saying they did not do any tests. It's almost like they were not sure if the new design would cause any problems or not. They just want to roll it out anyway. So they decided not to put on these new techs on their flagship models first. Instead, they put them on the middle tier reels, let the consumers do the actual robustness tests and the field tests. Now, once problems occurs, they will keep updating the design. Once it's matured, that not so new tech will then be eventually put onto the flagship models. We all know when a flagship model runs into an issue, the brand's reputation is definitely at risk. Now, Daiwa's way to mitigate this risk is by not rolling out new designs and new techs first on their flagship reels. On the other hand, Shimano seems to have much confidence of their new design. By simply applying a lot of the new design onto their flagship first, they also appear to have the patience of refining a new tech before rolling it out, judging by the much lower issue rate associated with their new design, as well as the super long interval between major updates. And of course, there is a lot of the cost and the profit consideration in the update interval. The more you invested in the R&D stage, aka the cost part, the longer you would want to keep this version of design in production to generate more profit. Looking at Daiwa, they tend to introduce new models or add new models every 2 to 3 years. For instance, the flagship Steez has half of a dozen models, like SV, CT, Limited, A2. Same as Zilling, huh? The Daiwa does like to put out those like elite version or limited version of reels a lot, most of which was a different look with a few small upgrades from the original version. Now, Shimano does not really have those so-called limited version, but I do want to point out though, in recent years, Shimano appears to be adopting some of Daiwa's business model by rolling out different versions of their flagship models. For instance, the 24 Calcula Conquest Shadow Edition. To me, R&D should do a thorough job catching all the problems. The problems should stay with the prototypes, and the prototypes are allowed to fail. Well, actually, the prototype's job is to fail, so engineers can learn and improve. Now, in reality, the durability of Shimano reels is the #1 reason I personally prefer it over Daiwa in many ways. They take beat very well, always residing in my skidder compartment, going through waves, cold and hot, dry and wet. I only do maintenance once every season. They just never cause me any problems at all, period. I have reels from year 2002 that is still functioning flawlessly. Now, Daiwa, on the other side, had caused me some problems back in the days of iso fishing, which is a type of Japanese rock fishing using long rods and float in the sea. In recent years, I have to admit, the Daiwa reels have improved significantly. But there are still some obvious robustness issues. For instance, the paint job. Daiwa's paint is just weak. My Zilling got multiple deep visible scratches within 2 weeks on the boat, while my Shimano's had not such thing after 2 years. About 2 to 3 years ago, Daiwa in one of their web pages said that reels are typically designed to last 2 to 3 years. I don't know what it means, honestly. I mean, throw them away after 2 to 3 years? Now, when it comes to new design, new reels, I would be cautious whenever I see this new tech is not really applied on a flagship reel. This is true for both Shimano and Daiwa and other companies. If you're like me, who prefer flawlessness over fashion, you can wait for a couple years, or maybe 1 year or 2, maybe not a couple years, until they refine the new design. Then you can buy it. Again, this video is not to say performance-wise which one exceeds which. The fact is, when they are new, they both are superb. So are some other reel brands in recent years. The purpose of this video is to share a perhaps somewhat different angle to look at these reels, and perhaps provide another criterion when it comes to choose between Shimano or Daiwa or some other brands. However, the only correct answer according to tackle junkies like myself, it's never going to be an or, but an and. I do want to say thank you to all the real manufacturers, especially Shimano and Daiwa, who have brought we fishermen great products to enjoy fishing. Also, big thanks to the early giants, including Abu and Luz. There are two things people will never forget: the first and the best. So that's it for today. Thanks for watching. Tight lines until next time.